Bucs fans, my fear the Bay Gunners, get those cannons ready to fire because we got a Sunday night football matchup, a primetime game with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield and company versus Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. This is going to be an intense game come Sunday night. I'm going to give you a game preview. I'm going to talk about the key injuries for this game. The Buccaneers getting a star player back. We'll talk about that. Also, my keys to the game. What can the Buccaneers do to possibly come out Sunday Night Football with a win? As well as my Week 12 picks. All my picks and Slivon's picks for week number 12. All that and more on this episode of Fear the Bay. Bucs fans, my Fear the Bay Gunners, welcome back to another episode of Fear the Bay. I'm your host, Danny Morales. And we got a lot of big things coming up here real soon. We got primetime football. We got Sunday Night Football. The Buccaneers are traveling on the road. They're going to go away across the country to LA to face Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and all those cast of characters, all those elite performers they have over there on offense, defense, and special teams. But we also got next week, we got Thanksgiving. I got my little Thanksgiving turkey with a little football there. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for a nice little gift. But we got some. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I love to eat, by the way. But we got some big things coming up here. But before we get to the Week 12 game preview for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I want to talk about the Week 11 loss. The Buccaneers went on the road to Buffalo, and they lost their second game in a row, their second consecutive game, and they lost 44-32. They squandered, they wasted a Sean Tucker legacy game. Sean Tucker, who is, in my opinion, the most effective rusher on this team when Bucky Irving is out. I think he's the more effective rusher on the ground than Rachaad White. I think Rachaad White is the better pass blocker. He's a better receiving back, of course. But as the purest, just rusher, most effective rusher, it is Sean Tucker. I hope that he gets the bulk of the reps in Week 12. I hope he is starting in this game because I think he deserves it after the type of performance, a hat trick, 3-touchdown performance that he had last week against the Buffalo Bills. But this team couldn't stop Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, last week I stated, if there's any quarterback, if I was a general manager, if there's any quarterback I can select to be my franchise quarterback for the next decade plus, I stated it would be Josh Allen. And he showed exactly why. He had a 6-touchdown game, three passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, a 6-touchdown total game. And he played like an MVP level quarterback in that game for the most part. Now, like we talked about last week, he doesn't have a true wide receiver one on that roster. They also have benched Keon Coleman for the last 2 weeks. He doesn't have a true, in my opinion, a wide receiver two that I would feel confident with if I was the general manager of the Buffalo Bills. He didn't have his tight end one, Dalton Kincaid. He couldn't get the Buffalo Bills offense led by Joe Brady couldn't get anything going on the ground, especially in the first half. I believe James Cook III, who was coming into Week 11 with 920 rushing yards, only second behind Jonathan Taylor, couldn't get much going on the ground in the first half. I believe he was going to the third quarter with about 2 yards per carry, average around there. But the lack of offensive firepower didn't affect Josh Allen. He still had a phenomenal game. And he won. And he showed exactly why I stated that he would be my selection to be my franchise quarterback for the next decade plus if I was a general manager. The Buccaneers couldn't stop Josh Allen. A lot of the talk after this game was about, do the Buccaneers, can they win a Super Bowl with Todd Bowles? Have they reached their peak with Todd Bowles as their head coach? In my opinion, it's a bit complicated, but I believe I still have confidence overall in Todd Bowles. I would say it that way. But I'd be lying to you if I said I haven't begun thinking about what life would look like without Todd Bowles as the head coach, what life would look like if the Buccaneers were to part ways with Todd Bowles, and which coaching candidates would I feel really comfortable with the Buccaneers bringing in for an interview and making their next head coach of this football team, of this football program, and guys who I think would fit the culture. I'm going to save those names if this situation ever arises. Which I doubt it arises. I think that Todd Bowles is the head coach of this team until he decides to retire like Bruce Arians. But I think there is blame for some of these losses on Todd Bowles. I think preparation is an issue. I think they got outcoached in Week 10 against the New England Patriots. But in this game, there is some decision making that I think were head scratchers. For example, not going for it late in the game in the fourth quarter on 4th and 2, not keeping your offense on the field, not risking it for the biscuit, and seeing if your offense can get those 2 yards and get the first down and keep the drive alive. With the way the Buffalo Bills were moving on offense, I didn't have confidence in the defense stopping Josh Allen and this team, and they couldn't do it. The Buccaneers, they punted the ball over to the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills, they wasted a big chunk of the time, and they went down the field and they scored. I think overall, I do have confidence in Todd Bowles. And I think he could still get this team to a Super Bowl. Is it this year? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this team is lacking, and I think he's hurt by the aspect of him not having an impactful pass rusher. The Buccaneers were hoping that the $14 million man, Hassan Reddick, was going to be that guy, but he's been injured, of course, over the last few weeks, and we'll see when he returns. The Buccaneers didn't place him on IR. But I think that not having an impactful pass rusher really is hurting this team. They have guys that can get pressure on the quarterback, who can get close to the quarterback, but they can't get the quarterback down. The Buffalo Bills they beat the Buccaneers in Week 11. They went on to Houston to face the Houston Texans in Week 12 on Thursday Night Football with Mills as QB1 with C.J. Stroud out. And they lost that game, and a big reason why they lost that game was because the Texans' 2 premier edge rushers were able to get to Josh Allen. They were able to get to the quarterback, Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. Will Anderson Jr. had a great game. He had, I believe, 3-4 sacks in that game. He had a phenomenal performance. The Buccaneers are lacking a premier edge rusher, I think, in my opinion, until this team finds that guy, that edge rusher, that guy who can not just get close to the quarterback, not get like a millisecond away from sacking a quarterback, but actually get to the quarterback. I think this team is going to struggle to be a true Super Bowl contender with that defense not having a premier edge rusher. They were hoping, again, that Hassan Reddick was going to be that guy. I don't think he's going to be that guy. He didn't make much of an impact when he was healthy. We'll see when he returns. Yaya Diaby, he gets pressure, but he's not that high sack, double-digit sack guy that you were hoping that he was going to be heading into the season. Chris Braswell is a bust. He was the second-round pick out of Alabama last year. He hasn't done anything. Anthony Nelson, outside of that New Orleans Saints game where he had a legacy game for himself, he's been quiet. This team doesn't have, and I really wish they could have had David Walker out there, the 4th-round pick out of Central Arkansas, so we can see what this team has in him, because he's a question mark heading into the offseason. What do you really have in David Walker? We won't get to know until next season. But this team is lacking an edge rusher. I think that hurts Todd Bowles. I think that really hurts this team. And if you were to go out and try to trade for one of these premier edge rushers, you're gonna give up a lot of high draft capital. You're gonna give up a 1st-round pick and some more there. If you were trying to sign one of these premier edge rushers in free agency, you're gonna have to sell one of your kidneys to get one of these guys. You're gonna have to back the Brinks up truck into their house and drop millions upon millions of dollars. That hurts your cap space. That limits your ability to sign your own guys. I think heading into the offseason, edge rusher is going to be the biggest need for this team, especially in the draft. And I think that Todd Bowles is really hurt by that. Now, again, I still have confidence in Bowles. I think that I think he can lead this team to a Super Bowl. I think he was a big reason why, with that defense that he was leading as the defensive coordinator of Super Bowl 55, why we were able to win a Super Bowl in 2020. Now, the problem with the Buccaneers losing to the Patriots, losing to the Bills, and possibly I think they're going to lose to the Rams. I think the expectation should be that they're going to lose, and the hope is that they win. The Buccaneers aren't going to be challenged, in my opinion, with another playoff caliber team until they reach the postseason. So I think they're going to get right after the Rams game. I think they're going to win the Arizona Cardinal game and go on a winning streak after that. But the problem is we don't know if they're a true contender. We don't know if they're a true team that can go toe-to-toe and beat these playoff teams, because they haven't really showed it. They beat the Seattle Seahawks, and I think part of that was because it was going to come down to who had the ball last. And Sam Darnold made a mistake, and he threw the interception. It tipped off the helmet of Logan Hall, and it went into Lavonte Davis' hands. But they beat the Seahawks. They beat a very banged-up 49ers team, but those are the only 2 playoff teams that they beat. And really one of them is, a team that didn't have George Kittle and didn't have Fred Warner. He went out in that game. they didn't have their key pieces. So I don't know. I just don't like the fact that they're not going to be challenged by another playoff caliber team until they reach the playoffs. But they are going to get some guys back. They're going to get healthy, towards the end of the season. They're going to get healthy back this season. We'll talk about that this week when we talk about injuries. But overall, I still have confidence in Todd Bowles. I think he can lead this team to a Super Bowl. But we'll see. Only time will tell. But I think they're really hurting. This defense is really hurting by not having a guy, an edge rusher that can really get to the quarterback. And I hope they find that guy in this year's draft. Let's get now to the game preview for week number 12 for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, let's get now into this offense for the LA Rams, led by play caller Sean McVay, one of the smartest minds in the entire league. Guy who, Todd Bowles, I'm sure he stayed up a few hours, late this week, wondering how he's going to scheme up against Sean McVay, who always seems to get the better of Todd Bowles. So on offense, the Rams this year have had 8 turnovers in total. They've kept the ball safe for the most part. The Buccaneers on offense have had 7 turnovers in total. So the Buccaneers have had just 1 fewer turnover on offense. That's good there. The Rams are averaging 360.9 yards per game, which rates 8th best in the entire league. The Buccaneers are averaging 332.2 yards per game, which ranks 17th best in the entire league. So the Rams 8th best when it comes to yards per game, Buccaneers 17th best. And then when it comes to what matters, points per game, the Rams are averaging 27.2 points per game, which is 6th best in the entire league. And the Buccaneers are averaging 25.2 points per game, which is 11th best. So the Rams, of course, are the healthier and better offense coming into this game in week number 12. And they're led, of course, by Matthew Stafford. And I think it's time to possibly put him in the all-time great category. So not saying that he is the best quarterback of all time, but when we think about who can be, who's in the top 10, top 12, top 15 quarterbacks of all time, I think Matthew Stafford, I think he deserves to be at least talked about in that conversation. All time, and when you look at his stats here, all time passing yards, he hits 10th. So in terms of all time quarterbacks, he has the 10th most passing yards. He has the 10th most touchdowns and the 9th best completion percentage at all quarterbacks. So he is, stat-wise, in those categories, those major categories, he is a top 10 quarterback all time. Now, I think what hurt Matthew Stafford, of course, was those stinker years in Detroit, playing on those bad teams. He was throwing to, at times, some really good wide receivers like Golden Tate or Megatron, but he wasn't getting the wins, and those lack of wins really hurt his overall image, I think. He was putting up, passing yards. He was putting up touchdowns, of course, but he wasn't getting the wins. And as soon as he came to LA, he got those wins. He got the Super Bowl win in 2021. He hurt the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' chances in the playoffs of repeating, going back-to-back. He ended Tom Brady's, hopes of going back-to-back in 2021, the Buccaneers' chances of doing so. This season, he's playing lights out, man. He has the 6th most passing yards. He is first when it comes to touchdowns. He has 27 passing touchdowns, which is most in the league, and he only has 2 interceptions. So this stat blew me away. In the last 7 games, he's thrown 22 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford has thrown 22 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his last 7 games. That is insane. He's keeping the ball safe and he's scoring. He's doing what a quarterback should do. 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is insane. He is PFF's highest graded quarterback this year. Highest overall, also highest in terms of third quarter production and fourth quarter production. He has a 92.3 overall PFF grade, which is first in the entire league. He is the best quarterback this season. He's graded so. At running back, Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams has 750 yards, rushing yards, which is 9th best in the entire league. He's averaging 4.8 yards per carry, 9 total touchdowns he has, 6 come as a rusher, 3 as a receiver. Now, the issue with Williams are his turnovers at times. So last season, he had 5 fumbles in 2024. This season, he's lost 2 fumbles. So maybe the Buccaneers can get lucky and punch one out of his hands in a crucial moment, but really one weakness of his game is those turnovers, those forced fumbles. He lets the ball slip at times. 7 total fumbles between last year and this year so far. that could be it could come at a crucial moment, a fumble by Williams that the Buccaneers could hopefully capitalize on if you're a Buccaneers fan. All right, so the wide receivers, the Rams don't really have a really good wide receiver 3, but they have a really good, a superstar wide receiver 1 and a really good, high-end caliber wide receiver 2 with Devontae Adams. Puka Nacua this year, he has a target share of 25.74. He has the third most receptions, fourth highest, yards, receiving yards. He has 850 receiving yards. 4 touchdowns, 4 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, so 5 total touchdowns. But who's really getting the touchdowns on this team is Davante Adams. Davante Adams, 569 receiving yards, but he has 10 touchdowns. That ranks first for all wide receivers this year, 10 total touchdowns, and we're only in week number 12. That is insane. He's only gone 3 games this season without a touchdown, so that's really good. Last week also, he had 1 reception. It was for 1 yard, but that 1 reception for 1 yard was a touchdown on the goal line. So tight end Tyler Higbee, he's going to be out this game. They placed him on IR this week. He is dealing with an ankle injury. So who will the tight end 1 be? It will be Kobe Parkinson. Kobe Parkinson this season has had 15 receptions, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not much of a drop off there because Tyler Higbee also had 2 touchdowns this season as well. But the offensive line is what I really want to talk about. And their one weakness on the offensive line is at right tackle. It was Rob Havenstein. He was their weak link this season. He had a PFF grade of 56.8 overall. He was ranked as the 58th overall tackle in the league this season. But he's on IR now. He was dealing with a knee and an ankle injury. He's on IR. So, I mean, whoever fills that position, it can't get much worse than Havenstein has performed this season. There will be a drop off, but that was already their weak link. So it's not a big, issue that their right tackle is out, because from left tackle to right guard, they have been stellar. The left tackle, left guard, the center, the right guard, they have been playing phenomenally. This is an offensive line that is better at run blocking than pass blocking. Let's look at left tackle Alec Jackson. Alec Jackson is the 13th highest ranked offensive tackle this year by PFF. He has a 70.7 pass blocking grade, which ranks him as the 34th best pass blocker as a tackle. But where he excels, like the rest of these guys on this offensive line, is in run blocking. So he has a 81.6 run blocking grade, which is 7th best for tackles. Steve Avila, left guard, he has a 82.2 overall PFF grade, which makes him the 4th best guard in the entire league this season. Again, pass blocking, not too well. He's ranked as the 29th best guard when it comes to pass blocking. But run blocking, he is ranked as the 4th best run blocking guard in the league this season. All right, at center, Coleman Shelton. Coleman Shelton is ranked as the 6th best center in the entire league by PFF this season. Again, pass blocking, not too good. He's ranked as the 35th overall pass blocker at the center position. But run blocking, he's ranked as the 5th best run blocking center in the entire league with a run blocking grade of 85.4. And lastly, at right guard, Kevin Dotson. Kevin Dotson also is playing like one of the better guards in the entire league this season. He's actually playing better than left guard Steve Avila. He is ranked as the 3rd best guard in the entire league with an overall PFF grade of 82.9. Now, again, the pass blocking, like the rest of these guys, struggle. He's struggling a little bit. He's ranked as the 31st best pass blocking guard in the entire league. But when it comes to run blocking, he is the 2nd best guard at his run blocking capabilities. He has a run blocking grade of 86.5, 2nd best in the entire league. So what are the strengths of this team? The strengths of this offense: quarterback, running back, the 2 wide receivers. Outside of them, not really a good wide receiver outside of them. But again, quarterback, running back, your 2 top wide receivers, your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and your offensive line from the center position all the way to the right guard position. That is the strength of this offense. And those guys are playing phenomenally. This is going to be a really hard offense for Todd Bowles as a defensive head coach and defensive play caller. He's a defensive coordinator, basically, to scheme up against. This is going to be a very tough challenge. It's doable. They've lost 2 games this season. The Buccaneers could surprise the NFL and win this week. but it's going to be a really hard challenge for this defense, this Buccaneers defense, to stop that offense that is playing at a really, really high level. Let's get now to the defense and special teams unit for the LA Rams. Bucs fans, want to know how you can help this channel, Fear the Bay, continue to grow and expand? Well, all you have to do are 3 simple things, and they're absolutely free. And what are those things, you might be asking? Well, like, subscribe, and comment. Like, subscribe, and comment. When you do that, when you engage with the content, what happens is YouTube's algorithm continues to push this content out to more phenomenal Bucs fans like yourself. So please, if you have not done so already, like, subscribe, and comment. Those things help me out tremendously, and they help our channel, they help our community continue to grow and grow and grow and expand to brand new heights. Let's get back to the video. We definitely do not want to miss that. All right, let's get down to this defense and special teams unit for the LA Rams, who Josh Grizzard and Baker Mayfield are going to have to go up against this week on Sunday Night Football. And they're led by their defensive play caller, Chris Shula. Chris Shula is 39 years old. He's been with the LA Rams now for 9 total seasons. This is his 2nd season as the defensive coordinator. And of course, he doesn't have Aaron Darnold anymore. Aaron Donald this is going to be actually a ceremony game for him. That's only going to fuel up, I'm sure, this defense even more for the Rams. But he has a lot of young talent that he's been able to develop over the past 2 seasons. And really make this defensive front 7 for the Rams one of the scariest defensive front 7s that a quarterback can go up against in the NFL. Let's get into the stats here. So the Rams, on defense, they have 18 takeaways. They picked off Sam Darnold last week 4 times. They can take the ball away. They're tied for the 2nd most takeaways this season. The Buccaneers are not far behind, actually. The Buccaneers on defense have had 16 takeaways in total, which is tied for the 5th most in the entire league. The problem is with the Buccaneers, when they take the ball away on defense and they hand it over to the Buccaneers offense, oftentimes they're not able to capitalize on that takeaway and actually go down the field and score touchdowns. So that's a problem. In terms of yards per game, the Rams are allowing the 13th lowest yards per game. The Buccaneers are allowing the 11th highest yards per game. So that's an issue where the Buccaneers are allowing a lot of yards per game. Quarterbacks and offense are able to go up and down the field. Bend but don't break a lot of the time, but last week and the week before they did break, unfortunately. In terms of points per game, I was alluding to the fact that the Rams are not allowing points being scored on them, and they're allowing only 17.2 points per game, which is the 2nd lowest in the entire league. So they're doing a really, really good job there. The Buccaneers are allowing 25 points per game, which is 12th highest in the entire league. All right, so we talked about that young talent they have on their defense, and let's get to it now. All right, Braden Fisk, he is the defensive lineman. He's 6'5", 294 pounds. Last season, as a rookie, he was their 2nd-round pick. The Rams, they double-dipped when it came to FSU defensive players. Of course, they drafted Jared Verse in the 1st round. They double-dipped with FSU, and they drafted Braden Fisk in the 2nd round. And Jared Verse was actually the guy who, come day number 2 of the draft, he actually picks up the phone, and he's the guy who calls. The Rams had him call Braden Fisk to let him know that he's going to be an LA Ram. He's going to be teammates with Jared Verse for years to come. So last season, Braden Fisk had 8.5 sacks, 10 tackle for losses, 10 QB hits, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. This season, he's only had 1 sack so far, but he has a history of showing you that he can get to the quarterback. Other guys are getting sacks on this team too. He has 24 pressures this season and 4 QB hits. Not playing to the level he did in his rookie year, but he still is a problem for opposing offenses. All right, Poona Ford on that defensive line. Poona Ford is ranked as the 4th best defensive lineman this season by PFF. He has an 82.9 overall PFF grade. He has 1 sack this season, 13 tackle for losses, 15 pressures. Kobe Ford on that defensive line also. Kobe Ford last season had 8 sacks. This season, he only has 2 sacks so far, but he has 30 pressures and 2 batted passes. We know, if you remember the Detroit Lions game, Baker Mayfield got a few of his passes batted down, and he overcompensated by throwing the ball a little bit too high. Hopefully that doesn't become an issue this game on Sunday Night Football. At the edge rusher positions, they have 2 edge rushers who are really, really, really good. Byron Young is in his 3rd season. This is a guy who worked at Dollar General before. Now he's one of the best edge rushers in the entire NFL. In 2023 and 2024, the past 2 seasons combined, he has 15 and a half sacks. This season, he has 9 sacks. That's tied for 4th most in the league. He has a PFF grade of 82.4 overall, which is 13th highest in the entire league, and he has 39 pressures. So he can get to the quarterback. Unlike the Buccaneers edge rushers, the Rams actually have edge rushers, unfortunately for the Buccaneers, that can get to the quarterback. Now, of course, I always like Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke over any pair of, or most pairs of edge rushers, but this is going to present a problem for both Wirfs and Gedeke, but I'm still taking Wirfs and Gedeke over the opposing edge rushers. Jared Verse has a PFF grade this season of 84.4, which is 10th highest for edge rushers. He has 3 forced fumbles. He has 4 sacks, 15 QB hits, which is first for edge rushers, and 49 pressures in total, which is 6th most for edge rushers. That is insane. At the inside linebacker position, their linebackers are, I would say, good. They're middle of the pack, I would say, in terms of overall in rankings and where, in terms of where they rank compared to other inside linebackers. They have Omar Speights, who is in his 2nd season, and Nate Landman. Nate Landman, I believe, was his birthday yesterday, Thursday, or Friday. So happy birthday to him. Also, happy birthday to Todd Bowles, who also had a birthday recently this week. But Omar Speights, he was he was actually undrafted free agent last year out of LSU. He started 10 games for the Rams last season. This season he has a 72.2 overall PFF grade. He has 3 pressures and allowed a passer rating of 87.3. So he's doing pretty well for himself. Nate Landman, he is the better of the 2 inside linebackers. He's in his 4th season. He actually won Defensive Player of the Week in week number 1 of the 2025 season. He is ranked as the 14th best inside linebacker. He has 1 sack. He has 4 forced fumbles, which is most for inside linebackers this season. But the problem is with him, he has allowed a passer rating of 119.9. So he's getting the ball out. He's doing a good job in his run blocking duties, but he is a little bit of a liability when it comes to his pass coverage game. All right, at the cornerback position, they have Emmanuel Forbes. Emmanuel Forbes was the former Washington Commander. Now he's 6 foot, 173 pounds. He's probably the leanest. And when you look at him, he's probably the leanest cornerback I've ever seen in my life. Probably the most in NFL history. Quarterbacks have targeted him 38 times this season. He's allowed 24 receptions on those 38 targets. He's allowing a passer rating of 95.5, and he's missed 10 tackles in total. The defensive backfield, really outside of Cameron Kitchens. Cameron Curl is coming into his own too, but the strength of this defense really is that defense line of those edge rushers. So Kobe Durant, they have 2 Kobe's on defense. Kobe Durant is ranked as the 34th best cornerback this season. He has a PFF grade of 66.1. He's ranked 34th best out of 108 eligible cornerbacks. He's allowed a passer rating of 64.8, but he does have 2 interceptions this season. Cameron Kitchens had 2 interceptions last week against Sam Darnold, and actually Cameron Kitchens is ranked as the 5th best safety in the league this season by PFF. He has 3 PBUs, 4 interceptions in total, and it has allowed a passer rating of 78.5. They're also going to be missing Quentin Lake. Quentin Lake is their safety nickelback. He's a versatile defensive back. He's on IR now. He went on IR this week. He is suffering from an elbow injury and recently had elbow surgery done. And Cam Curl, this is his 6th season in the league. He has 1 sack, but he is allowing a quarterback completion percentage of 73.3. So almost 3/4 of the time when quarterbacks are targeting whoever Cam Curl is covering, that pass is completed. So he's been a little bit of a liability there. 4 missed tackles as well, but he does have 2 interceptions. And let's get now to special teams real quick. So Ethan Evans, I believe he won actually Player of the Week, Special Teams Player of the Week in the NFC in week number 11. He had a great kick late in the game that put the ball at the 1. He's a great inside the 20 kick. punt. He has punted the ball 32 times this season. 17 have landed inside the 20. He's averaging 46.97 yards per punt. But the kicker position is the interesting one. So Joshua Carty. So Joshua Carty was the starting kicker, but he missed 8 total kicks, 5 field goal attempts, and also 3 extra point attempts. So they brought in Harrison Mevis, who is known as the thicker kicker. He's a really big kicker. He's 6 foot, 245 pounds, a lot bigger than your traditional kicker is, but he has throughout the last 2 games that he's been kicking the ball for the LA Rams, he has 0 field goals in total. He hasn't been needed to kick a field goal because the Rams are really good on offense. But he is 9 for 9 on extra point attempts. And Sean McVay says that even though he hasn't kicked a field goal attempt yet, he is doing an excellent job. He's done an excellent job for himself this season. So that is the defense and special teams unit for the LA Rams. Let's get now to the injuries for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have been struck pretty hard this season, of course, by the injury bug, even since the preseason and the training camp. Day number 3, again, David Walker goes down with a torn ACL. But also this week, there's a virus going around one Buc place. The Buccaneers got hit with the illness bug this week, and some of your favorite Buccaneers players, guys like Emeka Buka, guys like Baker Mayfield, Graham Barton, they got sick this week because of that virus going around. Those guys, luckily, will all be playing for Bucs fans. They're going to be out there on Sunday Night Football. There are a few guys out here. Ben Bredesen, he's been out since he suffered a hamstring injury against the Patriots. He's going to be out this week. Michael Jordan will fill in his spot at left guard. Jamel Dean suffered a hip injury against the Buffalo Bills. Benjamin Morrison came in to fill his role. We'll see what the Buccaneers decide to do. Do they put Jacob Parrish on the outside with McCollum on the outside when the Buccaneers are on their base defense, and when they get nickel, they push Jacob Parrish back inside and then put Benjamin Morrison out there? We'll see what they do there, but that's what I would do. Bucky Irving, he is still going to be out this week. The idea is that he'll be back the next week against the Arizona Cardinals in week number 13. Hassan Reddick still out as well. He's dealing with his ankle and knee injury. But Chris Godwin Jr. is... All signs are pointing towards Chris Godwin Jr. returning this week against the LA Rams on Sunday Night Football. And will Chris Godwin Jr. be on a pitch count? How effective would he actually be? I don't think, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think we're ever going to see prime Chris Godwin Jr. ever again. He had 2 surgeries on that lower leg. I believe there's screws in that lower leg, dealing with the dislocated ankle from, of course, week number 7 last year. The fibula has been an issue. That's what's kept him out for the past several weeks. And even when he came back against the Eagles, he was admitting that he couldn't really, when he was route running, he couldn't plant, he couldn't cut the way he normally does. And I don't know if we're going to see prime Chris Godwin Jr. ever again. I think he's still going to be an effective pass catcher. I think he becomes more of a possession wide receiver. I think he becomes more of an Anquan Bolden or a Larry Fitzgerald in the slot in the later ends of their career. I think he's still going to be an effective wide receiver, but I don't think we're going to get the wide receiver, the Chris Godwin of old, unfortunately. He's also aging now. I believe he's 29 years old or soon to be 29. But what does this do for Emeka Buka? Well, the presence of Chris Godwin, defenses have to respect. They don't know his health, what percentage, how close he is to 100%. But defenses have to respect Chris Godwin Jr. because of what he has shown in the past. And what that doesn't allow them to do is hone in fully on Emeka Buka, because you do have to respect, of course, Chris Godwin Jr. And Emeka Buka, coming into this season, he was a guy who was supposed to be, the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, a complement to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin Jr. when he returned, also playing alongside another young wide receiver, very talented wide receiver, Jalen McMillan, who had 8 touchdowns as a rookie, but of course he got hurt in the second week of the preseason against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But early on in the season, when Mike Evans was out there, look, for example, in week number 1, where Emeka Buka, he scored 2 touchdowns in that game. A big reason why was because defenses, the Atlanta Falcons and defenses that they played afterwards, they really had to focus on eliminating Mike Evans out of the game. Rolling coverage his way, putting their best corner on Mike Evans. We saw A.J. Terrell, Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley Jr., the best corners in the game, go up against Mike Evans and for the most part of those games, those matchups. But defenses had to focus on eliminating Mike Evans out and allowing Emeka Egbuka to have more one-on-one opportunities. And he excelled in that. He was producing at a very high level when he had a guy that he was complimenting. That was Mike Evans that he was complimenting. But he's found himself as the wide receiver 1 for the most part of this season because of the injuries. Now, I do think it's a good thing, though, that he is dealing with the issue of having defenses try to scheme him out of the game. I think it's good because he's going to learn. These are very, very valuable reps. Now, he hasn't been as productive in the past several weeks that he was from week number 1 to week number 5, around that time period. But this is very valuable. He's learning how to go up against the opposing team's best corners for portions of the game, like Christian Gonzalez versus the Patriots. Now, Christian Gonzalez, they get the better of him for the most part of that game, but he's learning how to go up against these top-end corners, the best corners that the defense has to offer for the opposing team. He's learning how to find a way to get open when defenses are rolling coverage his way, when they're double-teaming him, when they're trying to eliminate him from the game like they were trying to do to Mike Evans. So these are very valuable reps. And with Chris Godwin Jr. being out there, you do have to respect his presence. And that's going to give Emeka Egbuka hopefully a little bit more wiggle room going up against the LA Rams defense, who their secondary, Kinchin's is good. Again, Quentin Lake is going to be out because he's on IR dealing with the elbow injury. Their corners aren't the best. I think that's the part of the biggest weakness, the defensive backfield for the LA Rams. But because of the fact that the pass rush gets to the quarterback, that those defensive backs can play more aggressive. They can be more aggressive than you typically would be. And that allows them to get the interceptions that they got, for example, like last week against Sam Darnold, 4 interceptions. But overall, the presence of Chris Godwin Jr., I think, is going to help out Emeka Egbuka. We don't know how effective, again, Chris Godwin Jr. is going to be this week, but just him being out there, I think, is going to help out Emeka Egbuka. I think Emeka Egbuka has the potential to be like a Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's on pace, I believe, to get 2,000 yards with the Seattle Seahawks this season, if not like 1,800 yards is some like astounding number. But defenses know the ball is going to Jackson Smith-Njigba, and he still finds a way to get open. I think that can be, Emeka Egbuka could be a Jackson Smith-Njigba type of wide receiver. I don't think as good, but he could be one of the better wide receivers in the league. I think these reps going up against the best corners that the defense has to offer, having to deal with finding your way open when you're being double teaming, defensive rolling coverage your way, I think this is all very valuable for Emeka Egbuka's future. And I think he's going to be a future Hall of Fame wide receiver when it's all said and done. Jason Light does not mess with these first-round wide receivers, I'll tell you that. Let's get now to the keys to the game for this Week 12 matchup for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers had a great rushing attack in week number 11, led by Sean Tucker. 100-plus yard game, 3 total touchdowns in that game as well. A hat trick again. I think the first key to the game is the Buccaneers need to lean on the run. And I would like to see Josh Brizard, when they have an effective, if they do have an effective rushing attack, to use play action more off of the run. Use the effective runs to bait into defense when you do play action and hit somebody deep like Tez Johnson down the field or maybe Cam Johnson down the field. I don't think Josh Brizard utilizes play action as effectively as he can when the rushing attack is performing like they did last week. And how much of the effective rushing attack that the Buccaneers had last week was just based on the poor run defense that the Buffalo Bills have? They're one of the worst teams against the rushing attack. Their run defense is not good. But the Rams defense rushing defense is allowing the 13th most rushing yards per game. So there's going to be opportunities for you to run the ball against the LA Rams defense. But when they're doing so, if Sean Tucker or Rashad White is able to break some runs, be effective on the ground, again, I want to see Josh Brizard use that opportunity to call some play action shots down the field to hit guys like Cam Johnson, maybe Emeka Egbuka or Tez Johnson down the field deep. Second key to the game, keep the ball safe. Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions last week. That still ended up being a pretty close game, but maybe the Seahawks would have won that game if not for the 4 interceptions. But again, this is a defense, LA Rams defense, that takes the ball away from teams and doesn't allow you to score. But also force turnovers. So this is my second key to the game. Keep the ball safe and force turnovers. We talked about Matthew Stafford the last 7 games, 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. he's not going to cough up the ball. He's not going to throw you an interception, not with the way he's playing this season. Maybe you can get one on him. Maybe the Buccaneers get lucky and get a few, but that's wishful thinking. I think what's more realistic is that when the running back Williams, when he gets to, we talked about last season, he had 5 fumbles. This season, 2 fumbles. He's coughed up and lost this season. There might be an opportunity where maybe he's running the ball in a crucial situation late in the game, and the Buccaneers are able to, maybe Levante David or Tyke Smith or Antoine Winfield Jr. are able to punch the ball out of Williams' hands, and he coughs up the ball. The Buccaneers get the takeaway, and hopefully the Buccaneers offense can capitalize on that takeaway, go down the field and score a touchdown, not a field goal, or not punt the ball back to the opposing team. And then final key to the game. This comes down to Thomas McGahee and the special teams coverage unit, and Todd Bowles too. So last week, again, it felt like the Buffalo Bills, every time the Buccaneers punted the ball or kicked the ball off, that the Buffalo Bills were getting the return and bringing it all the way back to midfield or past midfield. You could not allow a good offense to get such good field positioning. You're putting your defense in a horrible situation. If the Buccaneers are not having success with their coverage unit in this game of week number 12, it's time for Todd Bowles or Thomas McGahee to say, okay, we're just going to cut our losses and kick the ball into the back of the end zone, and the ball is going to be placed where it's placed, but at least we're not allowing the offense to start at midfield. So those are my 3 keys to the game. Lead on the run, use play action off of an effective running game to hit your wide receivers down deep. Hopefully Tej Johnson has a nice pass down deep for an reception for a touchdown. Second key to the game, keep the ball safe and force turnovers. Again, I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to cough the ball, but maybe Kieran Williams does. And lastly, the special teams unit, coverage unit needs to step up. Thomas McGahee, he's done a very poor job, in my opinion, as a special teams coach this year. Maybe in the offseason, there is going to be a change that's needed there. Unless he turns things around, I can see that happening. But if you're allowing, if you're kicking the ball off on punts or kickoffs, and the offense, the team is bringing the ball back to midfield or past midfield, it's time for you to just kick the ball in the back of the end zone and just cut your losses. All right, let's go now to the Week 12 picks. All the games, I'm going to give you my picks, Adam Slivon's picks for all the games across the league. Let's get there now. All right, let's get down to these picks. Who do I have winning week number 12? Who does Adam Slivon have winning week number 12? Again, go follow Adam at Adam Lives On, Adam LIVSON on X and Instagram. He does a great job with Pewter Report for the top 10 takeaways and all his insight. He's a very knowledgeable guy, one of the smartest minds in the Tampa media realm. But in our head-to-head competition, he's gained a little bit more of a lead now. He has a 3-game lead on me. He has an overall record of 111 wins, 52 losses, and 1 tie. So 111 wins, 52 losses, 1 tie. My record right now, overall record, is 108 wins, 55 losses, and 1 tie. So I'm slipping a little bit. He has a 3-game lead over me. Okay, so let's get now into these Week 12 games. So we both have the Buffalo Bills winning over the Houston Texans in week number 12 on Thursday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills ended up losing, and the Houston Texans won. So we were both wrong in that matchup there. The New York Jets versus the Baltimore Ravens. We're both taking the Ravens. The New England Patriots versus the Cincinnati Bengals. We're both taking Drake May, Mike Vrabel, and the Patriots to win that game. We got the New York Giants versus the Detroit Lions. Jameis Winston got his first start of the season last week against the Packers. I believe he's starting again this week too. But we're both taking the Detroit Lions to win that matchup. The Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy's alter ego hasn't been performing so well. 9. I think the Packers, and Adam Slivon as well, a Wisconsin native, believes the Packers are going to win that game. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Tennessee Titans. This one's a no-brainer. This one's probably the easiest game of the week, the easiest lock of the week. Upsets can happen, but the Seattle Seahawks, we both have winning that game. The Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are the team the Buccaneers will see next week. We both have Liam Cohen and the Jacksonville Jaguars winning that game. Cleveland Browns, Shedeur Sanders is going to get his first official start with the Browns because of Dylan Gabriel being out with injury, versus the Las Vegas Raiders. we both admitted to each other, me and Adam, that this is probably one of the roughest games that are going to be aired this weekend. Not good football whatsoever, I think. We're both taking the Raiders in that game. The Eagles versus the Cowboys, a little NFC North matchup there. We're taking the Eagles. LA Rams versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers fans, like I said, set the expectation that the Buccaneers are going to lose and hope for a win. We're both taking the Rams in that game. But again, I believe that after this matchup, after this Week 12 matchup, the Buccaneers are going to go on a winning streak, and they're going to get out of their midseason low, their slump, and they're going to start building some wins back to back to back and create separation between themselves and the Panthers as we head to the finale of the regular season. The Carolina Panthers versus the San Francisco 49ers. We're both taking Mac Jones and the 49ers to win that game. So what are the three games where we differ? So again, he has a 3-point lead on me, a 3-game lead on me. And we have a difference of opinion on 3 games here. So the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears have been a surprise team in the NFC, I would say. They're playing very well. I believe they have 7 total wins this season. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers to win that game. He's taking the Chicago Bears to win that game. I just believe, when I was looking at the teams the Chicago Bears have beat, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they can pull this win off. I think they can pull the win off and get the win over the Chicago Bears in Chicago. All right, the Indianapolis Colts versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So right now, I believe the Kansas City Chiefs are actually out the playoff picture. They're looking in. They're outside of the playoff picture. When was the last time you can remember that? The Colts, of course, they have probably the best offensive line in the entire league, the best running back in the entire league, and Daniel Jones has used that to his benefit, and he's playing like a true quarterback one this season. He's fully redeemed himself. Now, the Colts have been a great team this season. I'm taking the Chiefs because I don't think the book is closed on the Chiefs. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Andy Reid. And if you still have those two guys and they're playing in Kansas City, I just think until they show me not to bet, to bet against them, to go against them, I'm going to take the Chiefs here. Adam's taking the Indianapolis Colts. And the last game where we differ is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Atlanta Falcons versus New Orleans Saints. He's going to take the Saints in that game. That game is in New Orleans. I'm taking the Falcons. Kirk Cousins is going to start in this game. Maybe that gives this team a little bit more of a, I don't know. It's just, they've been such a disappointment that I'm like, you can't lose to the Saints. You can't be that much of a disappointment this season. They're supposed to be competing with the Buccaneers. The national pundits, they had many of them had the Falcons winning the NFC South, and they've been slipping, and they might lose to a team that's going to be, competing for, in the contention to have the first overall selection this season, possibly. But I'm taking the Falcons, and Adam is taking the New Orleans Saints in that matchup. Let's get now to our closure. Let's finish off this show. Bucs fans, that's all I have for you here today. If you haven't done so already, please please subscribe. Let me know your comments below. How do you guys feel about this Buccaneers matchup on Sunday Night Football against the LA Rams? Do you have hope that they're going to win? And if you do, what is your score prediction for this game? Also, if you know somebody who doesn't know about Fear the Bay yet, let them know about Fear the Bay. Share this content with them. Let's continue to grow and grow and grow Fear the Bay. I love doing this content, and we got some really exciting things coming up in the draft. I'm excited to lead up to the draft. I don't want to spoil too much, but I want to do some good draft coverage here, and there's some more content I want to get to once we get into the off season. Overall, I'm just really excited to be making Buccaneers content. This has been an incredible experience, and I look forward to continue to improve my craft and improve the quality of this show, and just continue to get better and better and better every opportunity I can. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'm your host, Danny Morales, signing out. Bye-bye.